I think I realized by about probably 7th grade that I was not going to make it to the NBA or the MLB, and I was okay with that.
We were unfortunate for him, we were the rare sets of parents at home that were telling our children the truth.
And let me
About
tell you
their
what,
abilities.
it's one of the
Probably
best things to ever happen to me.
I don't know, probably should.
It really is, But so I know, I was a really good high school athlete. I was a multi-sport athlete. We're a dying breed for sure. I mean, I was probably the only baseball and basketball player. I think the only other multi-sport athletes in my school, like no exaggeration, were a couple football kids who ran track. And so, I think, as we mentioned earlier, I was probably a bit of a better baseball player. I think when I was younger, I enjoyed baseball a lot more. Lefty at the plate I'm very humble, much like my grandfather, so I'll let you know I had a beautiful swing. It was really good. I had soft hands. I had good size. I was very projectable. I thought if Joey Gallo can make $10 million a year, looking good while playing, I could probably figure something out. And so, but I think what would happen, as I got older, and I started to kind of just be more involved with Oklahoma State athletics, seeing my dad do the games, being around this, it's hard to not fall in love with basketball in Oklahoma State. Junior year is a big year recruiting for baseball, and I was unable to do that. In fact, it was the tournament, the state tournament in basketball, and we were driving to Tulsa. We literally walked out the bus, and they told us like shutting it down. It was when Rudy Gobert was in OKC and brought COVID, and it was so weird because here I am as a junior, we're the number 1 team in the state, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. We're gonna win state, and then I'm gonna go play baseball, and then we leave, and it's over, and then this 2-week pandemic turned into this massive, this whole ordeal, and I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? And so I thought, I can't do a lot with baseball, but I could go into a gym. I could shoot outside, and so I had a buddy, Bryce Williams. Every day we went and worked out. We lifted in the morning. We came and got shots up. I think I had probably my best summer of basketball in my life. Yeah. I mean,
you're playing well.
I was playing really well. I was confident. I feel like I kind of grown into my body a little bit, and unfortunately, I had this wonderful or not so wonderful knee injury, much like my dad about a year later. So then I'm, senior year of high school, I'm walking around, crutches, knee brace, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I'm sitting here, I'm working over the summer, I'm working out, I'm just trying to figure out, everybody's still recovering because of COVID, and opportunity to kind of walk on came about, and Coach Boynton is a stud, and I've been so blessed to have him in my life as a coach, a mentor, and really a friend and an advocate. And I'm so happy that he offered me this opportunity, because I would have just been here as a student. I wouldn't have done Greek life. It's just not my cup of tea. So I got the chance to come and be a part of a program that means so much to me. Obviously, we've been sitting here talking about this, but this lineage, it's been a true blessing. And I've had quite a few more injuries happen. In fact, about a month and a half ago, I probably had my 4th knee surgery, and so now I'm still part of the team, but my years of playing are done, which sounds weird to say at 21 years old. I feel like you usually hear that when you're 40. You hear, I don't know, my dad complaining about his knees or hurting or whatever, but it sucked. But when you have time to take a step back and really look at things and let it to ponder, that's the word I like to use a lot, think about stuff a little deeper. I have been so blessed. I've had so many amazing people in my life. As much as I've hated these injuries, they have molded me as an individual, shaped who I am, and I do think everything happens for a reason. I hate that it's had to happen in terms of basketball, but I think the things that I have gotten out of this and how I've grown have exponentially outweighed maybe any sadness of retiring two years early. And this kind of goes back to him being, I guess, he's always gets the floor, maybe out of respect or his teachings or whatever. But one thing that he said to me years ago that I think, if anything he's ever taught me that's really stuck with me, is he said, Brooks, this is probably one of the few times he's ever said something that I haven't heard before. He said, Brooks, he put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, I decided a long time ago that I wasn't going to be unhappy. And when I first heard that, I thought he meant just you're just gonna be grateful all the time. Everything's always gonna be awesome, and you're gonna have this, great energy, and you're just always, And I tried to live my life like that, especially with my first injury or two, and it was really difficult. And it wasn't until probably the last year or two that I think what he meant by that is no matter the circumstances, he was always going to be grateful for what he does have, and I've tried to apply that in my life. So, even though maybe my career, if you call it that, hasn't gone how I hoped, to always recognize how you're blessed and the opportunities that are given to you, and to know that there are people out there there are so many people that would love to be in my position, injuries included, and I think that that's really helped my demeanor and my outlook on life in this last year or two, is just understanding that, that I'm always going to be grateful, that things will always be good. And as much as we like to joke around, I hope anybody that's listening to this can just tell that when we say we're blessed, we mean that. Yeah. It's not something we're saying to sound or look good, but we believe that,
We don't have any drama in our family.
No.
We all get together, all get along well. And I've always said that what we do, there's three things that are really important to. One is our faith and deity, number one. Number two is our family, which is extremely close. And the third one is OSU.
It's a close third.
Yeah, we're very close.